Hello, Buzzers. I hope you're having a fantastical holiday. We've got some great presents for you next on Sci-Fi Buzz. Happy holidays, Buzzers. And holy moly, Batman. What have they done in your new animated movie? This is grown-up animation, folks. Some classic Harlan Ellison, some comics about the comics, and the man behind the Crypt Keeper, special effects expert Kevin Yagher. Hello, Buzzers. Mike Jarek here. This time we're going deep inside Sci-Fi Central to our surgically clean, climate-controlled, state-of-the-art edit facility. This is where our dedicated staff edits the show, Sci-Fi Buzz, that you see every week right here on the Sci-Fi Channel. Jules Reuter III is here. How you doing?
All right,
and
Mike,
Susan Hyman is coming in. Oh, fabulous to have you guys here on the holidays.
Thank you. No problem.
And by the way, thank you for that spam you sent me for the Christmas. That was nice.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Did you have a good day yesterday?
Yeah, it was very good. Thank you.
Very nice. Okay. Now, while we're in the edit room here, I want to show you some of our special effects that we have here on Sci-Fi Buzz. You are in control of the board, but in control of the look of the show.
Absolutely.
What can you do for me this Christmas?
Hold on, let me show you.
What do you?
How's that?
Oh, that makes me feel sick.
Okay, how about
Green.
this? Hold on, how's that?
Oh yeah, I like that purple. That's my favorite color. That's
Good.
cool.
You got it.
Amazing special effects right here at Sci-Fi Buzz.
No
Jules,
problem. We
you
do
are
it
a
all.
master. Now, can you do something else for me?
Sure.
You have that story on Kevin Yagher, speaking of special effects.
Yeah.
You do have it ready?
Yeah.
Now, he, of course, is the genius behind such movies as Man's Best Friend, which is out recently, also Child's Play, and Tales from the Crypt. Here's Kevin.
Welcome to Kevin Yagher's Crypt of Horrors.
Makeup effects specialist Kevin Yagher designed the noseless host and directed the Crypt Keeper segments on HBO's dark-humored series, Tales from the Crypt. Now that the show has completed a 5-year run, the ambitious artist relishes rumors of a crypt shift to the big screen.
We have exhausted pretty much everything in that crypt. What I like to do is the feature films. In this way, thinking of ideas of getting them out into a graveyard, digging up graves, and things like that. Full body shots, being able to direct those wraparounds would be a great thing.
At 31, Yagher's work on films like Child's Play and Honey, I Blew Up the Kid has put him on a short list of specialists working steadily in Hollywood. But Yagher learned the ropes in the industry trenches like everyone else.
I came out here from Ohio and did everything pretty much, with rubber bands and toothpicks, back in my hometown. But when I came out here, I learned how Hollywood did things, and I picked things up really quickly, trying to, advance, and create things on my own.
Jurassic Park threw Hollywood's effects industry for a loop with the success of its computer animation. And while Yagher isn't interested in jumping on the technology bandwagon, he has mapped out an alternative course of action.
I'm not an animator, and I don't want to sit behind a computer. I want to get my hands into things. But the way I feel about it is that they'll always need the artist, who is the conceptual person. So maybe I'll just be doing less, getting less involved with chemicals and hurting myself. At the same time, I can design and just hopefully ask more money.
On the recent canine thriller Man's Best Friend, Yagher made a dozen mechanical doubles of a Tibetan Mastiff. These substituted for real dogs in the difficult-to-film scenes. But because the film's ending was toned down, audiences never got to see some of his best work.
We ended up scrapping all these designs. I did this design of this skinned dog where his muscles and his bones and patches of hair, and half of his face was burned away, and his bottom jaw was exposed, and all this, and his eye was blind. It was great.
Yagher's hard work often gets minimum screen time or can end up on the cutting room floor. Even though this is just par for the course in the film industry, it's still difficult to swallow.
That's the one thing that I think the biggest thing I had to get over when I got into this business. You think to yourself, why did I put so much into it? But the way I look at it is if those 3 seconds end up being an extreme close-up, I've got to be able to put I should put all of that detail into this in case it is seen very close.
A positive attitude does pay off. Yagher says he's gotten more than one job because of his attention to detail. But he says the one thing you really need to survive in this competitive field is
a strong back. You need a strong back when you're applying makeup in a chair. You really do.
Not one to sit idle, Yagher has a career wish list for the new year. He hopes to direct an updated version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow that he's written. Then there's the rumored Tales from the Crypt feature. And he's not ready to toss aside his truest passion.
I love making characters, I think, and I want to keep doing that, whether it's directing or writing. I'm writing right now, so and trying to direct. So as long as I'm able to tell stories and great characters, I'll be a happy man.
My name is Janice Jacobson, and I live in Los Angeles. I'd like to recommend a novel called Far Seer by Robert J. Sawyer. It's set in a world in which dinosaurs evolved to become the dominant intelligent species. I thought it was extremely well written and very entertaining.
Just down the time stream, Batman has a big screen romance, and Harlan Ellison drops by. Susan, we've done this story before with the guys who love Batman, and come on, enough already.
That other story was about the animated TV series. This one is about the film.
TVs, movies, I don't care. It's still Batman. Batman, Batman.
This is different. Batman gets involved in a romance this time. We haven't seen that in a TV series.
Oh,
it's very exciting.
really?
Yeah.
Some love.
Nice footwork. Can you dance too?
The last time we checked in on the creative minds behind Batman the series at Warner Animation, they were hard at work on a Batman feature for the home video market. But the studio was so pleased with the project, they decided to give it a theatrical release.
American audiences are real used to singing mice and stuff like that in animated films. And we don't have songs and dances in this one. It's straight action adventure, and it's going to be a new kind of animal for the American audience.
At 75 minutes, the film offered writer-producer Alan Burnett time to explore and expand the characteristics of Bruce Wayne and his heroic alter ego.
We hadn't done a romance for Bruce Wayne in the series, so that's what I went for. And it gave us an opportunity to look into Bruce Wayne's psyche and see what he's about. And I guess the catchline for the story, as it was being written and as we discussed it, was we wanted to do a story about the woman who could have stopped Bruce from becoming Batman by marrying him.
A bit of big screen amour should pique a lot of interest, especially from female fans. But Bruce Timm, one of the producer-directors of the film, says non-romantics shouldn't fret. There's plenty of slam-bang action as well.
People know that we spent more money on it, and that it's a little bit more of an adult storyline, and it's a little bit more violent.
That adult storyline almost landed the film a PG-13 rating. But after snipping some bloodshed from scenes here and there, the film was awarded the desired PG rating. Even so, you don't often see animated films rated higher than a G in this country.
There are 20 miles of tunnels under this place, and they're all filled with high explosives. In 5 minutes, everything goes up.
Japanese audiences have been fans of adult-themed animated films for years, and producer-director Eric Radomski thinks it's high time American audiences were exposed to this long-neglected art form.
Everything they've been fed so far has been Disney and cute and cuddly and nice songs. Well, we think action-adventure in an animated form will hold up just as well. And in that regard, it's nice to have the opportunity to try and prove that point.
Resident enthusiast Bruce Timm has been a Batman fanatic since he was literally knee-high. He loved the campiness of the old Adam West series and appreciates Tim Burton's dark live-action films. But he's grateful for the chance to show the world the Caped Crusader the way he's always envisioned him.
I've always thought that if we could do a Batman cartoon show, we could do that dark, scary Batman, but still make it accessible and fun for kids to watch, because that, as much as I like the Batman films, I don't think they're really fun. They're dark and they're moody, but they're a little bit too grotesque to be, purely enjoyable. So we trying to find a balance of all that.
If audiences respond favorably to the notion of a mature-themed Batman, it could mark the beginning of more daring animation here in the U.S. in the future.
This is Brenda Smith from Sacramento, California, and I would happily love to recommend the music from the television series Quantum Leap, just released this past October. It has a wonderful array of music from the series.
Look what Harlan Ellison gave me for Christmas. I think he's suggesting some type of co-host. Hi, Kathy Lee. Hey, comic lovers, if Santa didn't bring you this book, stay tuned. It's a winner. Back at Sci-Fi Buzz here exchanging Christmas gifts. Andrew is very proud of her new T-shirt. Isn't this nice? Look at these comic panels. Things that could be out there. The Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, UFOs. Guys like this. Oh, that's cute. Are you saying that guys are out there who are kind of like aliens?
Absolutely.
Really? But I'm not one of those. Well, speaking of comic panels and comics and things like that, it's amazing how these gifts tie in with stories we have on the show today. This story is about Scott McCloud. He is a man who's tried to analyze why comics are so fascinating. One of the best comic books this year has been a book about the comics. 7 years in the making. Understanding Comics is Scott McCloud's thorough look at the history of comics. McCloud wrote and sketched this comic Bible after many years as an industry insider. He learned the ropes as an assistant at DC Comics and went on to create his own Eclipse comic, Zot.
In a way, I just needed to write this book. And I don't know if I'm necessarily the best qualified, but if I didn't write it, I would have gone crazy from all the ideas building up in my head.
Since comics date back thousands of years, McCloud cleverly tells his tale in familiar comic book form. He hopes fans and non-fans alike will benefit from his attempts to present the comic art form in a fresh new light.
I want people who already love comics to be reminded of why. And I want people who maybe are curious about comics but not sure quite what they think of them to understand that this is an art form and that this is something worth getting excited about.
Understanding Comics is subtitled The Invisible Art. McCloud felt the phrase reflected the recent status of comics in the art world.
Not too many years ago, if you told somebody on a plane or a bus that you did comics, the response might be something along the lines of, do they still make those? So we've been very invisible in popular culture.
But the phrase, the invisible art, is also used to reflect positive aspects of the comic style.
The thing that's unique about comics is what happens between the panels. The fact that we're given fragmented information, just one instant in a panel and then another separate instant in the next. It's really wonderful what happens in comics. That gap, that gutter, is a kind of a dance between the visible and the invisible. Call and response between the writer-artist and the reader. Very participatory, a real partnership between the creator and his audience.
We didn't think it was too far off base to call McCloud an expert in the field, so we asked him what comics have impressed him recently.
One of my favorite reads recently would be Bone by Jeff Smith, a really great black and white comic telling a fantasy story that is so addictive you just can't put it down, except, of course, that you have to when you come to the end of each issue. Then, of course, there's Sandman. Just about anything by Neil Gaiman is delightful.
McCloud believes comics will still be around well into the next century when other media have merged or disappeared altogether. With this type of optimism, it's not surprising his recent interests have focused on the comic book's place in an interactive society.
I'm fascinated by the possibilities of CD-ROMs. I think that comics may be a perfect medium to interact with interactive media, because words and pictures in sequence are a great way to get the message across fast.
Now that Understanding Comics is behind him, McCloud has time to ponder a future in which one thing is crystal clear.
Whatever I do next, there's only one thing I know for sure, and that's that it's going to be comics.
If you've caught the dinosaur bug that's sweeping the nation, we've got some larger-than-life suggestions for you on this week's Buzz Best Bets. As Jurassic Park stampedes its way to box office history, video and computer companies are wisely jumping on the dino wagon. Sega has secured the precious rights to Jurassic Park for their Genesis home entertainment system. One of the fun options the game offers is a choice of characters to play. You can either be the heroic paleontologist Dr. Grant or the cunning, vicious Velociraptor. Guess it just depends on what kind of a mood you're in. For those who prefer to interact with dinosaurs in a more sedate manner, there's Knowledge Adventure's new program, Dinosaur Adventure CD-ROM. With an emphasis on learning for fun, the company claims anyone between the ages of 5 and 105 can enjoy a voyage of discovery through prehistoric times. For die-hard dino fans, MPI Home Video's Videosaurus series is well worth checking out. The fact-filled collection with titles like The Return of Dinosaurs and Prehistoric World takes viewers on some exciting dinosaur adventures. Among the highlights are a trip to an on-location dig and a visit to Canada's Museum of Paleontology. From Dino Central, those are this week's Buzz Best Bets. After this interruption, hosing down Kong. This isn't child's play.
242.
King Kong, just like the one at Universal, and this one's a lot easier to clean.
We all know that King Kong turned 60 this year. But what you may not know is that at Universal Studios Hollywood, another King Kong just turned 7. This Kong spends every day of his life thrilling endless tramloads of mayhem-loving tourists. An exhausting profession, to say the least. So how does the Kongster kick back and relax after a hard day of hell-raising? We should have it so good. Every other week, after the Universal Studios tour goes dark, Kong's own team of personal groomers goes to work. By the time the first tram pulls into the soundstage the next day, His Highness is cleaned, brushed, mended, and fluffed.
I get angry at him every once in a while. He's constantly tearing himself apart. Things tear, things rip. Anything that can go wrong does go wrong just because he's so active all the time.
May Kanaga was Kong's first groomer and has turned the job over to her daughter and son-in-law. A former puppet maker and costumer, May says there's enough work to keep the Pamper Patrol busy all night.
We clean him, we repair him, we're constantly repairing him, we rebuild him, we brush his teeth, we take stuff out of his mouth.
Stuff? What kind of stuff?
Bananas. The favorite thing is bananas. People are always feeding King Kong bananas and chewing gum.
Why would any sane person toss food into the mouth of a mechanical monkey?
I'm sure they believe he's really alive. I think that they're really into the fantasy of it because there's too many bananas in there.
While it was beauty that killed this beast in the movies, his namesake need not worry. The only danger I can foresee is that here at Universal Studios Hollywood, the big guy will be killed with kindness. But so far, all that TLC only seems to be adding to his appeal. Get it? Hey, Buzzers, you'll want to be with us next weekend. Sci-Fi Buzz is off to Las Vegas to celebrate the new year. We'll be visiting the new Luxor Hotel with its Douglas Trumbull shows and simulators. Plus, we'll take a tour of another fantasy hotel, Treasure Island, as well.
Mike, we can't end the show without you opening your present.
Oh, no, I didn't think I was going to get anything. You shouldn't have, really, you
Open
shouldn't
it,
have.
Mike.
No,
I'll keep it if you don't want it.
Oh, well, chance. Oh, what is it? I think it's broken, actually.
No.
Hello, testing.
It's a phone.
Oh, it's a phone. An enterprise phone.
Hey.
That's very nice. Thank you all very much. Well, you know, I've always wondered, I think that's a third brake light here on the Enterprise.
Oh.
Have a happy holiday. They turn quickly on you. See you next week for Sci-Fi Buzz.